Okay, it looks like we are live. Welcome, everyone. We are here for Red to have a discussion about a topic with a gentleman he hasn't spoken to in a long while. As you can tell, I am Jared, AT2 Productions. I will be producing this wonderful thing and stuff. So, I will be butted out unless there is an absolute need for me to chime in with any relevant information given where the discussion goes. In the meantime, I will be muted, keeping an eye on the live chat, while Red and the gentleman Gary decide to hash out whatever it is that needs to be hashed out. So, combatants, take your corners.
Back and forth, I guess.
Well, if you want to start, that's fine, because it is your hangout after all. I'll be cordial.
I got really nothing to start with, so I'm going to pass it off to you, I guess.
Okay. My issue is that you called somebody that I consider a friend still, though we do have her up and down, a drama bitch. Named that being Fiona Robinson. Now, I think you're wrong to do so because she's not. As far as I was concerned with the video that she produced, I thought it was fairly impartial. Presentation of the facts. I think she was pretty clear with the fact that she said that Steve could platform whoever he liked. I don't think that makes her a drama bitch, and is a way just that one thing. Now, I do know that she may have been mistaken in her presentation of, was it Cheshire? So it's American pronunciation.
Cheshire Vic. Cheshire Vic.
Yeah. All right, well, let's call it Cheshire just to be quick.
Okay.
But her tweet that got misconstrued, that the private message between her and another gentleman whose name I'm not quite sure of, when it may have been misconstrued as calling Drag a sex offender. But again, I'm willing to admit that, again, like, I didn't see that particular post. I may have commented it, maybe, but I can't remember.
Gary, under what line of reasoning would you say that little clip? Let's hypothetically say that Cheshire actually did do the thing that Fiona accused her of doing. How is that in any way relevant to Steve McRae? How was my tweet relevant to Steve McRae in any way, shape, or form?
Because because you were talking about the particular group. Let's call it the great debate community that is on the other side to what Steve does. Let's call them that. That particular, the ones I'm friends with.
I have to kind of press you on this because I don't think you're answering my question. Maybe I wasn't clear. I'll take fault for that. Let's just focus on the Cheshire thing. Cheshire said something against Dragnot. Cheshire, that's between Cheshire and Dragnot. What does that particular issue have to do with Steve McRae? Okay,
it's because you called the group a bunch of liars, and from the context, it seemed to be that she construed it as irrelevance to the issue regarding Earl David Warden.
Did Steve McRae call Dragnot a convicted sex offender?
No.
Did Steve McRae have any sort of conversation with Dragnot during the NNH fiasco?
Not as far as I'm aware, no.
Okay, so bringing up an irrelevant conversation like Cheshire versus Dragnot could only be done for one really good reason, as far as I'm concerned. Well, not really good reason, but maybe good for a certain outcome, and that is to ensue drama. This is exactly why I made that assertion. That's why I stand by it, because I think you and I know that little snippet has absolutely nothing to do with Steve McRae. Whether or not Cheshire Vic made a punctuation error has nothing to do with Steve McRae, nor does it speak to Steve McRae's opinions when it comes to rape. Nor does my tweet have anything to do with Steve McRae's opinions when it comes to rape. If the video was about Steve McRae, it should have focused on Steve McRae, but it didn't. What it did was it focused on certain little mini dramas that were going on, because what better way to perpetuate drama than to blow it out of the water and smear it all over the screen? Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I understand. But the thing is that Cheshire has a relationship with you, Steve. Am I correct in that assertion? Which I mean is a friendship.
I
Am
don't see.
Right, don't interrupt me. Am I correct in that assertion? Or what is the answer to that question?
You are not incorrect, but I failed to see the relevance.
Okay. The thing is that she's associated with you. So as such, comments she's making in context of she's friends with you and Steve. Now the thing is, should Steve be held to account for that? Of course not. Cheshire is responsible. She's an adult. She's responsible for her own behaviour. The point that Fiona was making is that that she was that maybe she was aware, maybe she wasn't aware. I don't know. But I'm going to go from the argument that she was not aware, as you see you making a comment about how that particular group always lies, which is not always the case. Actually, it's not the case more often than not. That's the point that we're trying to make, is that maybe she saw that coming out of context. Because I'm not even sure that Fiona has a Twitter account.
Fiona has a Twitter account, and for whatever reason doesn't seem to understand how Twitter works, but none of that is relevant because I disagree with the fact that she didn't know what she was doing. And let me tell you why. Because Fiona Robertson had to watch the clip in question before putting it into her video. Fiona Robertson knew the parties that were involved. It was Cheshire and it was Dragnot. What Cheshire does and what Dragnot does not speak to Steve McRae's opinions when it comes to rape. Do you disagree?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with Steve McRae's opinion or your opinions on rape. No, I don't think
okay.
It represents.
Then if the video, hang on, I'm not done yet. Then if the video is titled Steve McRae Rape Apologetics 101, then what reason would there be to include an irrelevant clip, which, by the way, you have now said is irrelevant via your own admission? So what reason would there be to include that clip in any way, shape, or form?
Because you and Cheshire are both. Again, the thing with Cheshire, the whole thing is that it was in context to the group liars. It was nothing to do with the context of that. It's just the fact that you were slandering everybody in that group as liars.
I see.
Sorry. It's like if, for example, she started calling your particular side of things liars. I imagine you wouldn't be too happy with it, even without the context.
Well, now we're focusing on a guilt by association fallacy. Just because I call people liars does not mean that Steve McRae has a differing opinion when it comes to his stance on rape. Let's hypothetically say that I call you a liar, or call Fiona a liar, or call Jared over here, the producer, a liar. Does that in any way, shape, or form speak to your opinions, Gary, when it comes to rape?
No.
Then it is completely irrelevant. And Fiona wanting to put that into her video, I can only see one reason why she would want to do such a thing.
Well, do you not think it's beholden of Fiona to answer why she put that in the video instead of assuming why she did it?
She told us, and then this happened, as if to bring even more dirt onto a group, but in no way to back up her original claim, was that Steve McRae was engaged in rape apologetics. And also, not only do we have that going on, but saying that Steve McRae was engaged in rape apologetics and failing to demonstrate that Steve McRae was actually involved in rape apologetics does give me, and I would say everyone else, the right to call her a drama bitch.
Okay, but is she a drama bitch? No, because all she did in that video was present the facts as we understand and have them recorded. In no way was she trying to provoke drama. She was just presenting context to what happened, the entire flow of events as she understood them.
Context via your own admission have nothing to do with the original assertion.
No, but the assertion is by you is that she's a drama bitch, and my assertion is that she's not. All she was trying to do with that video was give context to the assertion, the events that happened in June. Is it June or July? Was it June or July? I can't remember.
It spans many months.
All right, we'll say June or July just to be quick.
Okay.
She presented them just to make people aware of what happened, why it happened. Again, and she even said in her video that Steve can platform whoever he wants for whatever reason, and I actually agree with that. He can. But however, when he was doing the video he was doing, he had a right to inform his viewers of this person's criminal past because of one word, because of 3 words: conflict of interest. If you're reporting on the police and you are a convicted felon, you have a conflict of interest. That's all she was pointing out. This guy has a conflict of interest. Whether you believe he's innocent, whether you believe he's guilty, is irrelevant. He has a conflict of interest when it comes to the police.
Does Steve McRae platforming someone who has a conflict of interest with law enforcement speak to his opinions when it comes to rape?
That wasn't the point I just made. The point
no, but it's the point that I'm making. You're saying that Fiona wanted to inform us of a whole bunch of context, but keep in mind the original point of her video was that Steve McRae was engaged in some sort of rape apologetics. So let's go ahead and take that context fully on board. Does Steve McRae platforming someone who has a conflict of interest when it comes to law enforcement speak to his opinions when it comes to rape? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, then that can be swept off to the side, and we can confirm that that does not support Fiona's position. What other context did Fiona add to the table?
Sorry, what could be said to the table? But again, I don't think she ever said that Steve was apologizing for rape. In general.
Fiona said Steve McRae Rape Apologetics 101 in the title. And throughout the entire video, tries to and fails to make the case that Steve McRae was engaged in rape apologetics. Was that or was that not the title of her video? And was that what was done in the video itself?
The title of the video was Rape Apologetics 101.
Yes, Steve McRae, Rape Apologetics 101, as if to suggest Steve McRae was engaged in rape apologetics, and that I'm going to show you the things being said by Steve McRae and show you how this is Rape Apologetics 101.
Okay.
And Fiona not being able to actually back up her assertions on that in any way, shape, or form gives me, and I would assert everyone else, the right to call her a drama bitch. Because what other reason would you have to making such a deplorable video like that and slandering someone as hard as she was? Not only do we have the drama part of it, but I think actual slander, where you accuse someone of being some of the most distasteful members of our society, also is distasteful in that it makes her a bitch. So we have a category of drama and we have a category of bitch. I shouldn't have to explain this to someone, a woman who is 3 times my senior.
Okay, but you're explaining it to me. Fiona isn't here to defend herself. I'm here to defend Fiona because I still class her as a friend. Okay.
And I classify Steve McRae as a friend. But the fact is that our arguments have merits, and those merits need to stand on their own. If your merits fail, it doesn't matter whose friend you are. Your merits fail by their own strength.
I agree. So here's the problem. The thing is that she wasn't calling him a rape apologist in general. She was calling him a rape apologist when it came to that guy. That's what she was saying because of his words and actions. Now, I'm going to explain to you why. Because there are certain terms all people who excuse abuse use, and you used quite a lot of them. Now, the thing is, Red, I'm wondering why you concentrated Fiona, but I've not heard you once talk about what Heretic said. He made about 3 videos, which were much stronger than what Fiona said, in which he actually does call Steve and yourself rape apologists. But I've not heard you.
Because you're talking about 3 videos as opposed to 1. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to spend an hour of my time and watching a video, which, by the way, talks about things that I've already debunked. And to demonstrate that, Gary, I invite you to give me one thing that Heretic or anyone else brought up that I haven't already ripped to shreds. I give you that challenge. Will you meet it?
Okay. The fact that Steve doesn't get the case right for a start.
Okay, so him being incorrect or being gullible makes him a rape apologist?
No, the fact that he keeps on getting it wrong makes him a rape apologist.
Again, him continuously being gullible makes him a rape apologist?
No, being gullible does not.
Okay, then point made. What's the next one?
No, we don't get to move on from that point because again, I never said he was gullible. I said he was incorrect and would correct correction. Now, the thing is, he was like saying stuff like, "I'll tell you what terms he was using. These are, and for those of you who remember the abuse, let's see these key terms. He said that people were mistaken. It was a witch hunt. It was an ex-lover. It was Romeo and Juliet. All these bloody excuses that, no offense, were nonsense. Thing is, I've got a sister, I've got a mother, and I saw shit. If somebody was raped, was one that be that. Now the thing is, I'm not saying he was gullible because again,
dude, don't hit your mic. Don't hit your mic, please. Okay,
I wasn't hitting my mic. Sorry. I was just messing with something, so I'll try not to do that.
Okay, that's fine. Just know I'm wearing headphones.
Sorry about that. But the thing is that he was using many of these terms. Like, for example, he was using the terms witch hunt. He was using the term that, you don't know what you're talking about. I know all the facts of the case. Now, the thing is, if that's true, right, I'm going to grant him, for the sake of argument, let's say, for example, everything he said is correct and accurate. He should present that for numerous reasons. One, maybe he could get it picked up by the Innocence Project of Texas, for example, because I'm sure it's shit. I wouldn't want to be on the sexual offenders registry for the rest of my life. I'm sure you wouldn't. I'm sure that Jared wouldn't. And that's the point that we're trying to get across. That again, he's platforming this guy.
Yeah.
And he's a convicted felon. He's a convicted rapist.
Yeah, he is.
The whole point, right? And the whole point is that is a conflict of interest. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, it is. I'll go ahead and agree with you. I'll go ahead and give you everything. And I'll still demonstrate that says nothing to Steve McRae's opinion when it comes to rape. Because here's the thing. Whether Steve McRae is right or wrong about the case surrounding News Now Houston says nothing about his opinions when it comes to rape. Also, him platforming a shitty auditor who has a conflict of interest, or as Fiona put it, an axe to grind with the police, doesn't speak to Steve McRae's opinion when it comes to rape. And yes, Steve McRae called it a witch hunt. Steve McRae claimed to know more about the case than those who are posting in the comment section. But again, whether he is right or wrong of that is irrelevant and says nothing about his opinions when it comes to rape. If that is quite literally the only avenue that you guys are going to travel to try and justify your assertion that Steve McRae was engaged in any sort of rape apologetics, you're going to have to do a much better job. And everyone who sees what I see has every right to call you guys out on that. Now do you now see why I didn't want to sit through 2, 3, 4 videos saying the exact same thing of the same shitty arguments that Fiona made?
Okay, so let me be clear. Steve, as I said, was again. There's nothing wrong with being mistaken on something. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you go against follow time. And does this not seem very flat behaviour? People were presenting their evidence and he was shut it down. Now, when it came to his live feed, understandable. He's having a conversation, which, again, I understood that he was wanting to talk about the topic of police auditing. That's fine. I don't have a problem with him deleting or getting rid of comments which are to do with an unrelated topic. I don't have a problem with that.
Huh?
I was talking about the live feed in which that News Now Houston appeared. I'm saying that I personally don't have a problem with him auditing his comments.
Okay.
Because again, if it had nothing to do with it, fair enough.
Okay.
But that's a personal opinion of mine. Don't attribute that to anybody else.
At last, a thing we agree on.
Okay. But when it came to Twitter and people do that, he didn't have a right to start demanding that people deleted their comments and all that stuff, because that is a little bit dishonest.
Okay. Sorry. So you are looking at him getting rid of comments as some form of dishonesty from him, while completely ignoring the fact that at the very top of the comment section, which is pinned, this show is about auditing, nothing more. Comments irrelevant to auditing will be removed. Steve McRae isn't hiding anything. Steve McRae is going to tell you exactly what's going to happen before it even happens. Look, Steve McRae has every right to do comment section housekeeping.
Agreed.
That does not speak to his opinions when it comes to rape.
Right. and I never said they did.
Okay, so what reason does Fiona have for bringing up that piece of detail into her video? If not to try and demonstrate that Steve McRae is engaged in some sort of rape apologetics, then what for? Maybe, just maybe, to bring up drama?
Okay, so the reason she brought it up was to show that a pattern of behavior when it comes to shutting down criticism.
Yeah, Steve McRae wanting to stick to the subject at hand does show a pattern of behavior that Steve McRae follows through on his promises. This show is about auditing, nothing more. Comments irrelevant to the actual subject will be removed. Fair warning. Okay, so
Okay.
Steve McRae is a man of his word. What's the big deal?
Because, again, it was about the fact that he applied that behavior onto Twitter. Now again, you're asking me my opinion. I'm giving you it, which is that I think that he has the right to do it on his comment section, on his live feed.
Not according to Fiona.
No, but again, I'm not Fiona. Again,
yeah, but you're here defending her. You came into this hangout saying that I consider Fiona a friend and I am here to defend her. It sounds to me that Fiona was engaged in some sort of action that you yourself cannot defend.
No, I'm just saying she was shown it to show a pattern of behavior.
Okay, a pattern of behavior okay, this pattern of behavior that you guys are showing, does it or does it not speak to Steve McRae's opinions when it comes to rape?
In general, I can't say that. Because it's one particular case.
So you're saying it's inconclusive.
I'm saying that if I was a betting man, I'd say that if I was a betting man, as I spoke to Steve in the past, I'd say that he would not condone rape in general, having spoken to the man in the past. Yeah, we may have our disagreements, but I would say I'm pretty sure more often than not that he wouldn't.
Okay, so nothing that you're telling me is hinting at the fact that I was wrong in any way, shape, or form in my original video. So if Fiona makes a video with a certain message that she wants to get out, I assert that message is bullshit. I make a video and I show how these points that you're giving me right now are a bullshit reason to make the assertion that Steve McRae is guilty of being a rape apologist or guilty of engaging in rape apologetics, and all of a sudden everyone loses their fucking mind. Do you not see how silly this seems to me?
I could understand, but you could understand how it seems to us that we have a man who uses terms that are used by people who defend abuse.
Let me be very clear. It doesn't matter if you guys find it silly. If you guys made a video and said, oh, Steve McRae is being gullible, Steve McRae is being silly, Steve McRae is being a dumbass, I wouldn't care. My video would have never been made. Where I draw the line, good sir, is when you guys make the assertion that Steve McRae is engaged or is guilty of being a rape apologist or engaging in rape apologetics. That, my friend, is slander. You're allowed to have an opinion when it comes to how Steve McRae conducts himself on the internet. You're allowed to say Steve McRae is an asshole. Steve McRae is so gullible to believe News Now Houston. And you know what? I may even agree with you there. But that doesn't mean that Steve McRae is a rape apologist. Fair point?
Okay. Again, I don't think he's a rape apologist. I don't think you're a rape apologist. Okay? But I don't think that Fiona was saying that either. What she was saying is that what he was saying is basically what abusers, people who defend abuse and defend rape, say. If it quacks like a duck and swims like a duck and looks like a duck, it's a duck.
Okay.
If somebody is defending abuse, defending rape, saying it wasn't a rape, saying how it was misunderstood and how he understands it better, you can say gullibility to your blue in the face. That doesn't matter. You are basically guilty of what's the word of apologizing for that rape that happened, that went to court.
Yeah, guess who else went to court? By your own assertion, everyone who defended and believed Brian Banks is a rape apologist, a guy who was found guilty and convicted for 9 years before he was exonerated, before the woman admitted that she had lied about the entire thing on camera. Everyone who defended Brian Banks, everyone who stood by him, everyone who didn't believe the story that the woman told is now guilty of being a rape apologist by your own definition. Because here's the thing, it's a question of consent. All right. And the type of excuses that would make someone a rape apologist would be something like, oh, she took me to her room. Well, I didn't hear a no from her. Oh, look what she was wearing. She was asking for it. Shit like that is what makes you a rape apologist. Steve McRae is not doing that. Steve McRae believes, or at least suspects, that legitimate consent was given. This isn't an excuse that is meant in the original video or in the original definition. It's an opinion or suspicion that may or may not be accurate. But to say that it makes Steve McRae guilty of being a rape apologist or engaging in rape apologetics is the exact same line of logic that you would use to accuse those who defended Brian Banks of being rape apologists as well. Do you not see how fucked up that sounds?
I don't know who Brian Banks is, sorry.
Brian Banks is a guy who was a football star that had his whole life ahead of him, who got fucked over by some bitch for 9 years. His story is so inspirational, they made a movie about it, and I recommend you watch it, because via your own definition in this hangout, I recommend rewind it and listen to your own definition again and watch Brian Banks. Everyone that was on the side of right and good and actual fucking just, you are now deeming as rape apologists or being engaged in rape apologetics. No,
because again, believing somebody to be innocent and rape apologetics are two different things.
Yes, Steve McRae lit him exactly. Perfect. We're in agreement. Steve McRae has a suspicion of legit consent being given. Because that legit suspicion is there, this isn't an excuse like, oh, look what she was wearing. I didn't hear an audible no. She took me to her room. Oh, she was practically asking for it. Steve McRae never said that, never has said that, and I bet you never will say that. And to try and frame all of this in a way as if to assert that Steve McRae was engaged in some sort of rape apologetics is slanderous. And I think I have every right to call that person who's making such slander a bitch. I agree. An apology needs to be given. And that apology needs to come from Fiona, not only to me and to Cheshire, but also to Steve McRae. She can go ahead and clarify and say that, well, I think you're a fucking idiot. I think you're dumb for believing this guy. I think you're an asshole for doing the things that you did. But she should apologize to Steve McRae for saying and slandering in the process that Steve McRae was a rape apologist or engaged in any sort of rape apologetics.
Right, but the thing is that people asked him for reasons why he thought that this guy was innocent, right? And he poo-pooed it off. Now, again, he claims to be this whole thing of like, reason and logic. Where's the reason and logic that he had? Where was he saying, this is the evidence that I've been presented, here's what it is. Again, if he did that, maybe there's legitimacy to his claim. Maybe innocent. I don't know. Again, I'm not a legal expert. What I am a legal expert on is knowing when I'm hearing nonsense. And the thing is, I've looked at the trial, the testimony of the lady in question, and it's nothing like he presented. For a start, he was not known to this person, despite Steve claiming he was. It wasn't a jealous sex lover or anything like that. So, wrong one. Wrong two was that it was an ex-lover because he never met this person until he raped her. And she didn't know him at all because she didn't point him out. The only reason that he actually got his trail was that he was dating the court clerk at the time.
Okay, but all this is irrelevant. Let's hypothetically say that Steve... No, it is. I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to give you everything and show you how it's irrelevant. If Steve McRae is wrong, no, not if. Let's say he is. He is 100% wrong about everything he said about News Now Houston, and let's say every other case that has anything to do with rape. He's wrong about all of it. Steve McRae is the biggest fucking dumbass on the face of the internet. How does him being wrong on the internet speak to his opinions when it comes to rape?
Because of the rhetoric he was using.
The rhetoric he was using is that he doesn't believe the story. Him being wrong about the story does not mean he's making excuses for why something happened when no consent was given. He is underneath the impression or the understanding that consent was actually given. So, Gary, can you defend a rape when you don't believe a rape occurred in the first place?
But again, it's not the fact that he believes this guy to be innocent. That's irrelevant. It's the terms he used.
What
If
terms
he
did
just,
he use?
right. If he just said, let's say for example, if he just said, the reason I platform this guy is that I believe there was a miscarriage of justice, and I think that he's guilty as charged. If he just said that, fine. I think most people would disagree with him and would present their case why, but again, fine. It's the fact that he was using terms like it wasn't rape, it was consensual, it was lovers, it was a Romeo and Juliet situation. It was all these sort of things. It was never one consistent thing, and this is what people who condone abuse too. I mean, let's do to domestic abuse. This is key one of domestic abuse apology. Well, we don't know what happened. We don't know what she said. It was all an accident. Blah 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 blah. It's fucking cocksucking.
Well, to be fair, I just want to make sure that we get some clarification here. By your understanding, is the pre-existing romantic relationship, being lovers, different from a Romeo and Juliet situation?
Yeah, different. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait. Hang on. What was the key issue with the Romeo and Juliet, both the play, where the characters and the names came from, and also the legal standing?
I believe in the play they're both 14, though I think Romeo might be 15.
They are lovers.
Yes.
So saying they were lovers and were in a relationship is not different than saying it's a Romeo and Juliet situation. Because
I want to make sure that we're not dogpiling Gary, so Jared, I appreciate it. Let me take care of it. I know. I don't want to dogpile Gary. He showed up. He's giving me his time. I just want to respect that.
Okay. Can I respond to Jared if that's all right?
You can respond. Jared, I'm going to ask you to bite your tongue afterwards, though.
No, if you want to respond, but
okay. I just didn't want to make this a 2-on-1.
Yep.
Just know I tried to stop it.
I'm just trying to make sure that what is being said is clearly understood and that what you are actually intending to say is what you are actually saying.
Okay. Then maybe I need to be clearer. I'll try to be that. Okay. A Romeo and Juliet law in Texas, from what I understand, is when two people are below the age of consent. So I think it's 15. I'm not quite sure. I think the age of consent in Texas is 17, though I'd have to look it up. I'm sure someone for Texas will tell us in the comment section, but I think it's 17. Now, the Romeo and Juliet law is if two people, if one of them's let's say, below the age of consent, and one of them's just above, so let's say it's 17 just for argument's sake, and one of them's 16 and just below it, that is a Romeo and Juliet law. It isn't what happened in the Earl David Warden situation, which is he was 35 and she was 17. And he misrepresented that fact to her because he said he was 25. Okay. So.
But by giving the information you just gave, if the age of consent is 17 and she was 17 at the time, the only people who would have issue with her consenting would be her guardianship, her parents.
Absolutely. And again, that isn't the rape that he got done for. I'm just saying that this is just the person that you deal with. This is the sort of person you deal with because, again, he didn't just once, but twice got caught with a firearm when he was a felon. No, it doesn't matter whether he was guilty or not. You're not supposed to do that in Texas.
All right. Yes, I understand this. I know about the case that is being discussed, but the thing is that it revolves around a single word, Gary. That single word is consent. Okay? Yeah. If Steve McCray is underneath the opinion that legit consent was actually given, again, ignoring for a moment that whether he's completely wrong or not, in fact, let's just say that he is wrong on that, but if he's underneath the assumption or the opinion or the actual definitive belief that consent was actually given, does that make him a rape apologist?
No.
Does that mean that means that he is engaged in any sort of rape apologetics?
I think I stated before, and I'll state again. No. Again, if he just stated, Red, that he believes this guy to be innocent, he reads all the rape charges were done erroneously, and that the state of Texas, which has a record for this, because I listen to a podcast that deals with a lot of like cases being forced through and being, what's the word, somebody falsely accused and convicted of a crime they didn't commit. If you just said, "I believe that," fine, because that is a statement of your opinion that somebody got falsely accused of a crime. That's one thing. If you just said that, fine. And I mean that. I think everyone else would have been fine with that. Again, I don't want to speak for everyone else, but I think
I don't want to make that jump, but okay.
Okay, but that isn't what happened. What happened was that he, as I said, went around and used a lot of terms from the abuser's acceptors handbook. Like it wasn't his fault. You don't know what you're talking about. It was this. Now again, if somebody uses those terms, whether you like it or not, Reds, it is from that playbook, and that's why we have to be careful of the terms we use online, because when we're using those terms, I'm not saying that he is this, but he was using terms that are from that playbook.
Do you know what else those terms are from?
No.
People who are telling the truth. If it was actually not his fault, if he actually got fucked over, if it was actually consent, then those are the same words and the same terms that were used in the case of Brian Banks. So him using those terms and using those phrases does not speak to his opinions when it comes to rape. I find it shocking that you would go ahead and put so much stock in him using those terms, which can be used by someone who is legitimately innocent of the crime, instead of what he actually said definitively when it comes to the concept of rape. My name is Steve McCray, and I think rape is disgusting, it's deplorable, and it's horrific to the victim. Why does the terms that he uses speak louder than his actual explicit opinion when it comes to rape?
Okay, I'll make this clear, because maybe I haven't before. I do not believe that Steve McCray, at any particular, apologizes for rape, or has in the past, to my knowledge. He may have done so in private, I don't know. But as far as I'm aware, from the person I know, he would never do that. So, and I think I stated that before. Maybe I didn't do so eloquently, but I'll do so now. He has never. But the point that Fiona was making was that he does what a lot of people who defend abuse do. They delete comments. They double down. They say that you don't understand. Again, these are all from the abuser's playbook. If Brian Banks used these terms, he was doing the same thing. I'm sorry, it's just a fact. These are from the abuser's handbook.
Yeah, it's also from the handbook of people who are telling the truth. How does that give Fiona the right to put Rape Apologist 101 after Steve McCray's name in the title? See what I mean? You're struggling to figure this shit out, as I was when I initially saw this. This is why the video was needed. This is why the video needed to be discussed. Because the fact of the matter is this: Fiona Robertson said nothing in her video, nothing that justified her title, did nothing to justify what she said at the very end, and does nothing to justify why she decided to bring up irrelevancies like me and Cheshire into it. Fiona Robertson did this, as far as I can tell, for no other reason other than to exude drama.
No, it was to point out Steve's behaviour and how he silenced criticism and how he ignored criticism and how he ignored what the actual case was.
And nothing about Steve McCray's behavior speaks to his opinion when it comes to rape. You pointing out his behavior is him being gullible, him being an asshole for deleting comments, him being a guy who would platform someone who has a lot of baggage. And you know what? I would agree with you. Steve McCray shouldn't have platformed that douche canoe. That even if he is innocent, fuck that guy, because he has a lot of baggage with him. But Steve McCray has every right to platform whoever the hell he wants without being slandered against the way Fiona did in her video. Now, you came here to defend Fiona's video, and so part of her video is the title, Steve McCray, Rape Apologetics 101. And it seems to me that you're saying that Steve McCray isn't actually engaged in any Rape Apologetics 101. So please tell me, how can you defend Fiona's video, which has that in the title and is trying to send that message, when it seems to me that you don't actually agree with what Fiona is saying in her video?
No, I said that Steve. But what Steve did came from that, as I stated now 3 times. I'll say it for a fourth. It comes from the abuser's handbook.
And
Whether
it
you
comes
like
from
it
the
or
people, and it comes from the people who are
no,
telling
it
the
does
truth
not.
as well. Yes,
No,
it
it does not.
does.
No, it
Yes,
does
it
not.
does. Yes,
No,
it
it does not.
does.
No, it does
Yes,
not.
it does. I can
Okay.
I can demonstrate that completely right here, right now.
Okay, provide the evidence for that.
All right, cool. Brian Banks. Let's go ahead and read through it, shall we? And
But
we
he
will.
was using the same term.
Yeah, he was using the exact same shit. People who are innocent will say this. Was it Brian Banks's fault? If your answer is no to that, then congratulations, you're using the same fucking handbook. Did people who defended Brian Banks, would they have said those things? It wasn't his fault. He didn't do it. It was consensual.
But
Did the
that isn't
people
what.
who defended Brian Banks use those exact same terms?
But it wasn't just that. It wasn't the fact it was consensual. Again, saying it's consensual does not make you a rape apologist. Nor did I say it does.
No,
So,
I'm saying that when you come at it from the position that it was consent, there was no rape. You can't defend a rape or apologize for a rape if you don't believe the rape occurred in the first place. You guys are trying to assign something that cannot be assigned because the contradiction that you're doing to try and base it on is just that, a contradiction.
No, there is no contradiction because it's based upon the fact that he was confusing 2 different cases.
Okay, so Steve McCrae.
And he wouldn't take correction. He wouldn't just look at it and say, because you said it's Romeo and Juliet laws. Well, it wasn't that. Well, it was a jail set lover. It wasn't that. This
Okay,
is
so
what
Steve
Rebisa
McCrae
do.
said,
They remove the Coles post. Do you make excuses? Again, I'm sure Brian Banks, whatever he was, had the consistent story. This is what happened. This is what it was. I'm sure his views were saying it was consensual, which is fair enough. I'm sure because, again, I'm not familiar with the case. I'll look it up after we've done here, if that's okay. Or I might look it up now. If you got a link for it, please provide it to me, and
I'll send you a movie.
Okay, let's go. I won't watch it today because I'm going to go out after this. But
Okay.
But I'll watch it tomorrow, I promise. But the point that we're trying to raise is not that he claims it's consensual. That's fine. If he wants to believe it's consensual, that's his opinion. But then he goes into as I said, the abuser's handbook, which is that you don't know what you're talking about. It's Romeo and Juliet. Again, it keeps them making inconsistent stories, which is key in the abuser's handbook, because you'll do anything to protect that person. It's what abusers do all the time. Domestic abuse. They'll do the same exact things. Well, you don't know what you're talking about. He never left his hands on her. You know, it was just a bump on a door. You don't know what you're talking about. It's the same exact thing.
Okay, so let's see. Steve McCrae is using terms that can be found in the abuser's handbook. Terms and phrases that also can be used for people who are genuinely innocent of the crime and have been said in court to demonstrate such. And yet you're going to go ahead and take one possible handbook over the other, completely ignoring which handbook Steve McCrae is actually looking into. Gary, I have a question for you. Do you want to try and name the fallacy that you just committed?
I don't think I did commit a fallacy because, again, I must point out the difference between the two.
Then you have to make a point, okay? Because here's the thing. Unless you can demonstrate that Steve McCrae is definitely taking from the, quote, abuser's handbook, you don't have an argument. It is merely just, oh, I've seen this done before, and it ended up in this, and it ended up turning into this gigantic shit show. But you cannot demonstrate that Steve McCrae is actually taking it from that handbook and doesn't genuinely believe that this dude is innocent. Again, whether he's right or wrong about that, whether he has good reasons to believe that or not, that does not speak to his opinions when it comes to rape. You agreed with this. So
Yeah,
how can you defend Fiona's video, which is saying the exact opposite of that?
Because again, I'm saying that I do not believe that Steve McCrae or yourself or anybody else defends rape. Nor have I even seen him do so. So
okay, then let's go ahead and just cut the crap and let's ask the question one more time. Is Steve McCrae a rape apologist, or is he guilty of engaging in rape apologetics? Yes or no?
He's not a rape apologist, no.
Is he guilty of engaging in rape apologetics?
Inadvertently, yes.
Inadvertently.
Mhm.
Inadvertently, how?
I've just spent the last 10 minutes explaining to you how by using the terminology you used.
Oh, no. Inadvertently rape apologetics. You just came over here and described to me over the last 10 minutes how Steve McRae is mistaken or incorrect or refuses to take correction or whatever the case may be. Again, Steve McRae being a dumbass about the situation doesn't speak to his opinions when it comes to rape. Is that what you mean by, oh, it's accidental rape apologetics?
I'm trying to say it overtly because I'm trying to be more. What's the word? I'm trying to be pleasant towards the guy because again,
let's just be blunt. At this point, fuck Steve McRae. We're talking about the facts.
Okay, then let's talk about the facts then. If somebody uses abusive apologetics, whether they mean to or not, they're using those terms. It is not beyond the pale to call that out as such. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree, but you would have to justify that Steve McRae was actually using rape apologetics terms. Because here's the thing. If those terms can be used by someone who is genuinely innocent, what right do I have to make the assumption of the worst?
If someone uses that term, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If there is a term that's being used that can be used of both the people who are actually innocent and people who are using the abuser's handbook, the correct response to that would be to go to Steve McRae directly, not just accuse him of horrendous shit out the gate, and talk to him about it. Which, by the way, out of Fiona and me, I'm the only one that actually did that and got the clarification. No, there is a genuine belief that News Now Houston got the short end of the stick. Whether he is right or wrong on that is irrelevant because that genuine belief is there. Again, you cannot apologize for rape if you don't believe a rape actually occurred. What you're doing is telling me that Fiona Robertson, much like you, jumped to the conclusion that Steve McRae was indeed taking these terms out of the abuser's handbook and didn't at all think to yourself, maybe I should ask him or talk to him. Now, of course, you may come back to me and say, well, we can't talk to Steve McRae because he blocked all of us. Well, then you don't have enough information to make the video in the first place.
It was all her video was doing was presenting the information that we have at hand. That makes the point that again, Steve confused cases. He confused the evidence, which is fine. We could all make mistakes. That doesn't make us a rape apologist. Would you agree with that? Okay. So let's see the things we agree on and let's go to the bits we disagree on. Okay. Would you agree that if I could present to you that Steve McRae got the two cases wrong, would you accept that?
In context, I already said at the very beginning, we're proceeding forward with the notion or the understanding that Steve McRae is wrong on quite literally everything.
Okay.
Even stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with rape. I'm going to say he's wrong about the fact that the sky is blue whenever he made that claim. He's wrong about quite literally everything.
Okay. So, okay. But when somebody is presented with evidence and they hide it, it's a voice to a dishonesty. Would you agree with that?
No, not in every circumstance. For example, when it's previously stated that any information irrelevant to the subject at hand will be removed, then it's not dishonesty. Not only that, but Steve McRae also said that if you wanted to talk about this, do it on your own channel. So he wasn't even trying to hide the information or trying to convince other people of hiding the information. Do it on your own channel. Don't do it here when we're talking about police auditing. And don't make the claim that Steve McRae is removing links from moving other people's tweets when Twitter doesn't work like that. It kind of puts a damper in the assertions that you're trying to make when you don't even know how the platform works. It kind of sounds like they're trying to push a narrative without actually doing research into whether or not their narrative holds any water. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like something, I should say, that a drama-ridden bitch would do. Strange how that works.
All right, but you were saying before how Steve was mistaken. Isn't it not possible that Fiona was mistaken on how Twitter works?
Yeah, Fiona, it was mistaken and made an assertion based on that. And guess what? If eventually it is determined, or when Steve McRae realizes that he's mistaken, then yeah, he should say, hey, guess what, guys? I fucked up. I said that News Now, I had reason to believe that News Now Houston was innocent. He isn't. And there you go. That should be that. Steve McRae should be forward with that. Just like Fiona Robertson should be forward about issuing me an apology for taking my tweet out of context, should issue Cheshire an apology for bringing up something that was totally irrelevant and making it sound worse than it actually was, and should also apologize to Steve McRae, I would say a groveling apology to Steve McRae, for accusing him of being a rape apologist or engaging in rape apologetics and slandering him with one of the worst titles you could possibly give a person on the internet. There should be apologies all the way around. And here's the thing. I have changed my view on a few things when it comes to Fiona. I don't want an apology from Fiona. I don't. In my opinion, I don't think she has the backbone or the integrity to apologize for the slander against Steve McRae. I really don't think so. However, if Fiona just wanted to remove the video altogether and not speak about it ever again, I'm more than happy to respond in kind, and I'll pull down my video. And if Fiona wants to go ahead and re-upload a different video calling Steve McRae an asshole, a dumb fuck, and and whatever else that isn't slander, then I'll let that go. I'm not going to reply to it. I won't touch it because Fiona has that right. And Fiona may very well be right. Fiona might be right that Steve McRae kind of screwed the pooch on believing News Now Houston. And personally, between you and me, fuck News Now Houston.
Okay. I'd like you to do one favor. Please point to where Fiona ever calls Steve McRae a rape apologist.
Jared, do you have the ability to play audio?
Give me one moment and I can set it up. What are you going to need me to play? Got a time?
I'm gonna need you to fast forward to a certain part of my video.
All right, you keep chatting while I get all this set up.
Calumny and obloquy. I need you to go there and let me know when you're there.
Because I don't recall her doing so, but I'm willing to listen to evidence that she did.
Mm-hmm. I need you to go to 18 minutes, 22 seconds, and we will hear it from Fiona's mouth. And I'm assuming, Gary, that once this is played, you will advise Fiona to go ahead and issue an apology?
I brought you contact with Fiona.
I am underneath the assumption that once we hear Fiona make this accusation that Steve McRae is guilty of or engaging in rape apologetics, that you will pressure her into giving an apology for making such a claim?
No, I'm not in contact with Fiona. I just state that. Again, I'm here on my own free will. I'm not here because Fiona or anybody else asked me to. I'm here because I want to be here.
I know that you're here because of your own free will and because you want to talk about this, but I'm talking about what you're going to do after the fact. Because here's the thing, if we're all need to be held accountable for the shit that we say, isn't it only fair that streak go both ways, especially in Fiona's direction when she's the one that fucked up?
Okay. Again, I'll mute now so that Jared can play the video.
Fiona Robertson,
1 second.
Calumny and obloquy, 18 minutes, 22 seconds, whenever you have a moment.
18:22. All right. Let me just...
Yes, please. And blast that audio.
All right. Let me know if you can hear this.
Rape Apologetics 101. Accused... No.
All right. You guys did not hear it. Let's see.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay. Yay. Come on. Gotta love changing settings in Chrome. There we go. Really, jackass. Alright. Since Chrome is being a fat bastard. Oh, Gary dropped out.
Gary has left the meeting. I don't know if that is... Hang on, just to be clear, we did not kick him, right?
We did not. He dropped, and here's the thing. If it was a technical issue on his side, he will be able to immediately rejoin with no No issues. And see, there
Oh,
he
we're
is.
back. We're back.
Yep,
We're back.
he is
Okay.
back.
All right. Then let me know when you have the audio ready. Computer issues. Okay.
No, I completely understand.
Are we still audible, Gary?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just mute so Jerry can play the audio.
Okay. If you have to, Jared, just blast it over your speakers. I don't care at this point.
I literally just downloaded it, so I'm gonna play it from VLC
Okay.
rather than trying to play it from the website.
That's fine. Yeah, however we need to play it, I don't care. I just want it to be played. You still have the time code?
1822, you said?
Yes, sir.
Tell me if you hear this.
On
No.
August 25th, 2000...
Did you hear yourself?
No. 19.
I couldn't hear
Fiona
either.
Robertson made a video where she made one of the most serious allegations a person could make. The allegation was that a certain someone was a rape apologist. All right, bring it up to 1822 and play until I say stop.
All right, playing.
Am I suggesting some form of guilt by association here? Not at all. Steve can platform whoever he wants to platform. My problem is with Steve's actions afterwards. His apologetics, with his claims to know so much more than those trying to supply links. His attempts to minimise the crime for which Warden was convicted, and his efforts to hide this information from his viewers.
And pause. So let's go ahead and break that down. His apologetics. Fiona makes the assertion that what he was engaged in was indeed apologetics. Number two, Steve's attempts to minimize the crime in which Warden was convicted of. Steve McRae did no such thing. Steve McRae questions whether or not the crime was even committed in the first place. And Steve McRae's so-called attempts to hide the information, even though Steve McRae wasn't doing that. Steve McRae fully acknowledged the fact that News Now Houston was convicted and even encouraged other people to talk about it on their own channel. That's three right there from Fiona's own mouth in Fiona's own video. So you tell me, does Steve McRae deserve an apology for that?
You just said that she called him a rape apologist, and she didn't.
Called him a rape apologist or engaged in rape apologetics. And did Fiona say his apologetics?
She did, yes.
Perfect. Okay, then I'm glad that we're in agreement. So that leads us to next question. Does Steve McRae deserve an apology for being accused in engaging in rape apologetics, which, by the way, I think would kind of make you a rape apologist by default, but semantics. Do you think that Steve McRae deserves an apology for this type of slander? Take your time.
It's a difficult question.
Why is it difficult?
Yes, because it's a yes and no. It's a yes and no. No, in general, yes. In this particular case, yes. Because he keeps on changing the story of what he believed it was. The thing is, if he had a consistent story of this is what now the News Now Houston said, here's what it is, here's what I believe the truth is, fine. That wouldn't be apologetics. That's stating the case of what you've been told by the perpetrator, and you believe that the evidence points that way.
You just said it was a difficult question. I just want to highlight that. I I want to highlight that. And there's a reason why I want to highlight that. Because if Fiona Robertson really did have an open and shut, watertight case for herself, then it wouldn't be a difficult question, good sir. The fact that the question was even said to be difficult in the first place shows that Fiona's video is lacking greatly. That little hang up, in my opinion, Gary, was a little bit of intellectual honesty. I'm not saying that you're lying here or that you're purposefully, accidentally backing something that is not true doesn't make you a liar. Just like Steve McRae accidentally backing up someone who's guilty doesn't make him a rape apologist. So being consistent here, I think you just had a realization, and now I want to see what you do with it.
No, it's just that again, like she was accusing him of apologetics in this particular case. She's not talking about all the other cases. Again, like you keep on saying, like, does he have this wide opinion on rape? No. But as in, on this particular case, he is using the terms, and as I said, he has the opinion that no rape occurred when it did. That makes him a race apologist because how a rape did occur. But again, he keeps getting facts wrong, and people pointing them out to him. Instead of doing what an honest person would do, going, all right, what's the actual case? And people provide, I take it on board. Here's what the guy says. I mix an informed opinion, saying, look, this is what I've been told. This is what I've read. Here's why I believe what I believe. I don't think anyone would have had a problem with that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Steve McRae doesn't owe any of you guys an explanation. If he wants to keep those details to himself, or let's say he was given those details underneath the understanding that those would be kept secret, then Steve McRae is under no obligation to give you guys anything. And if you guys say he's wrong, then great, he's wrong. Remember, we're talking right now underneath the understanding that Steve McRae is wrong about quite literally everything. And even with that understanding, that question that I asked you was difficult. This entire conversation should hint that the accusations that have been made against Steve McRae do not hold any water.
Right. But again,
exactly.
I'm just saying, because again, do I believe? Again, I said before that I know Steve fairly well. I mean, I'm going to say terribly well, but I want more enough to say he's not a rape apologist. Right, and I've said that numerous times. But again,
he's not engaged he's not a rape apologist. He's not engaging in rape apologetics. He
is in this particular case.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. The only thing that he's actually not. The only thing that you said that even remotely tries to justify that is that you said, oh, he's using terms from the Abuser's Handbook. Those same terms that you mentioned can also be used by people who are telling the truth, Gary.
But the point is that he's trying to minimize it, as Fiona pointed out. He's trying to minimize it by saying it isn't what you think. It's Romeo and Juliet. It was, a jealous ex-lover. When he was none of those things, it was somebody.
That's not minimizing the crime. No, you're absolutely wrong. That's not minimizing the crime. Minimizing the crime would be saying something along the lines of, "Oh, she was dressed a certain way. I didn't hear an audible no. She took me to her room. She was asking for it. Come on, guys." Saying shit like that, then yes, maybe then you will have something to lean on. But Steve McRae didn't say that. Steve McRae has the opinion or the suspicion or the idea or his concept of reality, that this was actual consent. You cannot apologize for a rape that you do not believe took place. You saying that is rape apologetics means that everyone who believed and defended Brian Banks is a rape apologist. And I'm pretty sure that 100% of them would tell you to go fuck yourself.
Right. But as I pointed out before, he got the facts wrong.
Then he's a dumbass that doesn't speak to his opinions when it comes to rape. Yes, we're already underneath the understanding that he got everything wrong. Steve is wrong about not just this issue with News Now Houston, but about everything. You bringing that up when that has already been accepted full stop leads me to believe that you don't actually have an argument to justify Fiona's video.
The argument is that he was doing things that abusers do. Again,
and also people who tell the truth.
No.
Really?
No.
So someone who is actually innocent won't claim that they're innocent? Someone who was actually engaged in sexual intercourse that was actually consensual won't say that it was consent? or that there was consent?
Right, those are the. But I said before, and I say again, that isn't what I said. Those things are what innocent people were saying. They were saying that they didn't do it. They said that it wasn't that perpetrated crime. Fine. If he said that, fine. I don't think any reasonable person would have called him a rape apologist or any common apologist for any crime if he said that. If he just said, "I believe this guy to be innocent," fair enough. And he did try and justify it. Fair enough. That's his opinion. If his opinion was he did not commit this crime, fine. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I don't think anyone else who has a reasonable brain would.
All rape apologists are dumbasses, but not all dumbasses are rape apologists. Do you agree with that?
Correct. I would agree with that.
Then Steve, then you have no reason to make the claim or even jump to the conclusion that Steve McRae is either a rape apologist or engaged in any sort of rape apologetics. What Fiona did in that video was jump the gun. What Fiona did in that video could be classified as a smear campaign against Steve McRae, saying that Steve McRae is doing something that he wasn't doing, and insinuating that Steve McRae is holding an opinion that he simply doesn't, and even going so far as to say that my tweet had anything to do with this, which it fucking didn't, or that Cheshire's missing of a question mark had anything to do with this. Her entire video, Gary, was quite literally a train wreck. And I think there's a lot of people that deserve an apology from her. If I get that apology, I'll make it this deal. I will go ahead and accept it, and I will take down the video, and we will never speak of this ever again. People fuck up all the time. You're right. People fuck up all the time. But because they fucked up, they should not be demonized for that fuck up. If Steve McRae legitimately is wrong, which, by the way, we are accepting that he is, that does not make him a rape apologist. It does not mean he is engaged in rape apologetics, which means that Fiona has no right to even attempt to make that claim, let alone make a video about it. Fair point?
Fair point. But I just have one further question, though. If that's okay, if that's the case, should we not use Steve's own standards for this?
Does Steve McRae's hypocrisy make him a rape apologist?
No, I'm asking a question. You don't answer a question with a question.
Okay, I will answer the question with a question, then I'll answer my own question to answer yours. How's that?
No, you answer my question and then I'll answer yours. How about that?
I'll answer in the way that I see fit.
Okay, that's fine.
So, Steve McRae's hypocrisy, I assume, comes from his slandering of the Catholic Church. Yes, Steve McRae may have different standards when it comes to everyone else and to the Catholic Church. It might very well make him a hypocrite. I'm going to say that, yeah, you should use his own standards against him, but only and only when justified to make that one particular assertion. So, for example, if you're able to make the argument that hypocrisy is enough to demonize someone as a rape apologist, then I say go for it, knock your socks off. But I'm going to come back and say that no, hypocrisy does not make someone a rape apologist. It makes them a hypocrite and doesn't speak to their opinions when it comes to rape.
Okay, you asked me a question. Can you reiterate it, please?
Does one being guilty of hypocrisy make one guilty of thinking that rape is not a big deal, or that people don't need to give consent to sex, or that they actually defend the actual act of rape?
Of course not.
All right. Then I don't know where else we need to go from here.
But I would say that would you agree that we have to be careful with the terms we use? Would you at least agree to that?
Oh yeah, we have to be careful.
All right. So if let's say, for example, I don't know what your ethnicity is, nor do I care. But again, there's certain terms that again a person who is a person of color can use that a white person cannot use. Would you agree with that?
Wait, repeat the question?
Right. There's terminology that a person of color can use in their own community that if a white person were to use it would be considered racist. Would you agree with that?
He's talking about P. Mars's favorite word.
Oh, okay. I would say no, not in every single circumstance, but in general, yes.
Okay. So then context matters to the terms we use. Would you agree with that?
Context does matter.
Okay. Now, if someone uses terms, whether they're innocent or not, that are used in abuse situations, it's not beyond the pale to call that out as apologetics of that act. Whether we intend to or not is irrelevant. We're using those terms. Again, his misuse of terms isn't Fiona's fault. It's his fault for using those terms. Would you agree with that?
No, I would not. And I'll tell you exactly why if you want to listen.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, just like a white guy using the N-word for a group of black people, what if they're actually friends? What if somebody overheard that as they were passing by, not understanding the situation or the context in which it was saying, not understanding that, hey, it's all cool because they're all friends. They know what's up. Okay. You getting offended for other people doesn't make him wrong for using that word. It makes you ignorant as to why he used the word to begin with, and that it was done in the context of love and actually friendship. Okay, this is why we have to do the second step, which you and Fiona did not do. Ask for clarification. Ask for clarification, because it is to be said that that word can be taken from the book of hatred. But that word can also be taken from the book of, hey, I'm just chilling with my friends. Do you or do you not agree that the N-word can be used to refer to someone who is actually a good friend, and that that person who was called the N-word can actually not be offended at all?
I think I said before that, again, in that particular community, it is used as a familial greeting.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
But, and I'll say a big but.
Okay.
There are white people who use that term, and there are black people who have problems with it. Like, for example, one of the most famous examples I could think of.
Then we're doing.
Hang on a second, don't interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. Quentin Tarantino uses it a lot in his films, but that's because he grew up in a certain neighborhood in Los Angeles where those sort of terms were used, and he's grown up in a multi-ethnic, diverse system. So that's unique to him. When he uses it, he's not using it in the hatred, bigoted way. He's using it in a particular way. However, when somebody's using terms, when a convicted felon, and it wasn't just convicted based upon her word, it is based upon forensic evidence as well. So, scientific actual evidence places this guy as the perpetrator. Then again, you do go into the abusive handbook, because this isn't a matter of her word, her word against his. This is the fact that the evidence is against him. That's the whole point of this. It isn't just her word against his, because again, sometimes that can be good, sometimes that can be bad. But it's the fact that the evidence says that he did this. And when somebody says, so he starts minimizing it, whether he intends to or not, he is doing that. But the evidence is so overwhelming. Because again, you're minimizing the victim's suffering, which I think is something that I think you're losing here.
Mm. So I should just ignore, like, let's say the Innocence Project, where they have a list of people who were wrongly convicted because of misapplied forensic evidence. Again, if there is even a possibility, that this guy is innocent, which, by the way, even with forensic evidence, there is, then Steve McRae has every right to hold that opinion and not be guilty of rape apologetics. Again, we can say that the evidence is stacked against Steve McRae. Okay? The evidence is stacked against Steve McRae. In fact, we're going to go ahead and say that Steve McRae is 100% wrong on everything. He's against the forensic evidence. He's against the testimonies. He's against the court itself. But Steve McRae, being a fucking moron, does not make him a rape apologist. Steve McRae, being a fucking moron, does not speak to his opinions when it comes to rape. Not all rape apologists are dumbasses, but not all dumbasses are rape apologists by your own admission. So you making that argument and you agreeing to that kind of undermines the argument that you just made.
No, all right, I'll make another one.
Okay.
Can I borrow a fag? No,
sure. Do you want Marlboro or do you want Camels? I got both.
Exactly. In Britain, that's a cigarette. In the US, it's a slur for a homosexual. So that's cross-cultural. That's the whole point, is that we have to be mindful who we're talking to, the audience we're talking to. The thing is, whether we like it or not, most of the audience... Sorry, that was my fault. Sorry, my bad. It's because I'm trying to get ready here. Sorry, as I'm talking to you. Sorry, I'm trying not to be rude. But the point is that when you're using those terms, you have to be very careful. It's like when you're using very sensitive terms, you have to be careful. Whether you want to or not, you have to be mindful of how you use them.
Okay,
because whether we like it or not, our words have meaning.
Yeah, our words have meanings. And you want to know what else we can do with those words? We can clarify. And Steve McRae has on multiple occasions, even before the interview with News Now Houston. Fiona's not dumb, and neither are you. You both know that Steve McRae finds rape a despicable, deplorable act. We have argued the rape thing back when we were arguing theology with a whole bunch of assholes when we were all cool with each other back in 2015. We have been around this block more than once. You know as well as I do what Steve McRae's opinions are when it comes to rape. Fiona knows exactly what Steve McRae's opinions are when it comes to rape. And that's really the big thing, Gary. Even with that knowledge, even with that history behind this person who Fiona chose to slander, she chose to go for it anyway, knowing full well what Steve McRae's opinion is. How is that not drama? How is that not bringing up bullshit for the sake of drama?
She was pointing out his behavior and
then point out his behavior. Don't label him something he's not. And apologize to him for calling him something that he wasn't, which, by the way, calling him that is fucking deplorable. You're saying that he is as bad as some of the worst individuals in our society, and people aren't supposed to get pissed by this? Yes, you consider Fiona a friend. I consider Steve McRae a friend. And if any one of my friends were slandered in such a way, I go to the fucking moon and back to defend them. That's exactly why I made that video. And that's exactly why I went as hard on Fiona as I did, because that was some serious bullshit. If Fiona wants to go ahead and say that Steve McRae is mistaken on everything, Fiona has that right. Hell, I'll even agree with Fiona on this. The evidence is against Steve McRae. Steve McRae is most likely being a complete fucking dumbass when it comes to the case around News Now Houston. And Steve McRae was definitely a dumbass in platforming the son of a bitch. There are plenty of other people who are much better, especially at police auditing, than that jackass. I'll go ahead and agree with you there. And you know what? I'll give that video a thumbs up. But that doesn't speak to Steve McRae's opinion when it comes to rape. And that's why I made the bet that I did. I bet anyone to bet against me on that. That Steve McRae will never condone acts of rape on his channel or anywhere for that matter, ever at any point in time, past, present, or future.
Okay. And I think we would both agree on that.
Good. Then let's go ahead and say what needs to happen now. I think what needs to happen now, and you tell me, is that Fiona needs to do one of two things. Either make an apology to myself, Cheshire, and Steve McRae, or just simply take down the video altogether and just pretend it never happened. I can make sure that my video gets taken down in the same aspect. It never happened. It was never a thing. Fuck everyone else. This is just between myself and Fiona on this deal. She takes down her video. I take down mine. Everyone's a happy camper. If the apologies is not going to be given by Fiona, do you think that is at least a healthy compromise?
I don't know. I don't want to speak to Fiona.
No, I'm not asking Fiona. I'm asking you. Do you personally think that is a healthy compromise?
Again, if you ask me what I would do, I would retitle the video or maybe make it something that isn't so inflammatory, but hey, that's my personal opinion of what I would do. Okay. So taking down the video is not a healthy compromise in your opinion? I don't know. You'd have to ask Fiona, because again, I don't want to speak. I'm not asking for Fiona's opinion. I'm asking yours. Well, personally, if she wants to keep it up, that's up to her. Would I take it down? Yeah, I would personally take it down, but that's because I'm me. Okay. Okay, but I'm going to ask you a question. Would you at least talk to Exiled, because she's a friend of mine as well? No, I refuse. How come? Jared, would you like to show another screenshot? I don't like... Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I don't like showing
personal messages. But I'll tell you why. It's because Exiled does not know what the word no means. I will just read you my reaction to Exiled over Skype.
Okay.
Steve McRae is not a scammer. Exile replies with one message, 2 message, 3 message, accusing Steve of a whole bunch of slanderous shit. My reply, your problem with Steve is not my problem. I don't want to be a part of this. If you're going to force this shit onto me when I have clearly said no, then I think I will block you. So which is it? Respect my request or continue this bullshit? Exiled responds by saying that she's still going to push her issues with Steve McRae onto me, even though I have clearly said to leave me the fuck out of it. The reason why I don't want to talk to Exiled is because she's a hypocrite. As someone who claims to have gone through a very traumatic experience, she doesn't seem to respect what the word no means. And that seems to be a pattern of behavior I've seen from a certain group of people. No means no, and I meant it. And not only that, but then Exile tries to sick her husband on me. And so I said, okay, let's go and talk. No, it's once again trying to weasel her way into my world when I've clearly said no. I don't want to talk about Steve McRae with you. If you have a problem with Steve McRae, you take it up with Steve McRae. If he blocks you on that, then I'm afraid it's a dead end road. I can't circumvent that. Leave me the fuck alone. She didn't want to. How is that my fault?
Okay, but would you say that I am in that group that is dishonest, though? Because I think that I've been as honest as I can be with you.
Gary, I don't consider you part of any group. Personally, you and I haven't spoken for years.
Yeah. But again, the reason I'm on is because, as I said, Fiona, I class Fiona as my friend, even though we haven't spoken in a while. And the thing is that, again, you attacked my friend. And again, just like you said, Steve's your friend and you would defend him. I would defend Fiona from you calling her something like that.
And everyone else is going to see you defending your friend. It's up to everyone else to decide whether or not you did a good job on that.
Okay. I mean, again, like the thing is that I don't have anything against you or Steve. As I said, like, we've had our differences in the past. Hey, they're in the past for me.
I don't think you do either. Here's my thing. I don't know what your opinions are of Steve. I don't know what your opinions are of me. But I know for a fact that they have tried to do something that is so underhanded and fucked up. And they were called out on it. And because they were called out on it, they decided to, honestly, I'm not going to say what, bring up a bunch of more irrelevant shit to try and hurt, to try and persuade me not to get involved. Oh no, they can compare me to their car because I'm just barely getting started. If they continue this bullshit, and if they want to keep making slanderous accusations against my friends, especially accusations that say that Steve McRae is a rape apologist when he most certainly isn't, and nothing they say can actually demonstrate that, then I will defend and I will keep on demanding apologies. Gary, you defending Fiona is all well and good. Me defending Steve McRae is all well and good. We're just two guys trying to defend their friends. I can respect that. But part of being there for a friend is telling your friend when they fucked up. I told Steve McRae in private that he fucked up royally having News Now Houston on his platform. He should have never have done that. Even if he is innocent, should have never done that. That guy has so much fucking baggage with him, it's not worth it. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. I told him that what I actually think. And now I would like you to tell Fiona what you really think. I think that you know as well as I do that Fiona screwed the pooch on that one. Just let her understand that. Try to get her to understand that. And at least come to what I would say is a healthy compromise. She doesn't have to apologize. She doesn't have to say that she's wrong. She just has to say, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm going to take down my video. I will respond in kind by taking down mine. We both move on. Happy campers. Bob's your uncle. We never talk about this shit show ever again. And no one has their feelings hurt. I think that's a very healthy thing.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
I don't know what Fiona's going to do, but I'll go ahead and I'll keep my end of the bargain if Fiona decides to go that far. But I don't want to steamroll you. So what I'm going to do is I am going to shut the fuck up And I'm just going to let you say whatever it is you have to say, and then we'll end on that. Does that sound fair?
Well, you might want to respond to what I'm about to say next.
Okay.
Okay. The thing is with Steve is that he did something that I found unconscionable.
Okay.
Which was he used my late friend as a weapon against other people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would you say that was shitty behavior?
I agree. Behavior that was copied from Exiled is indeed shitty behavior.
All right. So when has Exiled ever used Jade as a weapon against?
Watch
people?
her video towards me and find it for yourself. I'm not going to give you timestamps because I tell you one thing. Anyone, and this goes for Steve as well, anyone who uses Jade's passing as a weapon against other people is doing some really fucked up shit. And yes, if Steve McRae is doing that, he needs to fucking stop. Do not, under any circumstances, bring up Jade in my hangout. Jade deserves to rest in peace without other people speaking for her or using her funeral as a weapon against other people. And that is another reason, I didn't want to say this, but that is another reason Exile can seriously go fuck herself. At that point, I think I'm pretty much done with this conversation.
Okay, that's fine.
Jared, take us offline.
Well, that is quite the ending. Yeah. Later, all.